Did you know that Russia's first Tsar once became so enraged he killed his own son with his bare hands? My name is Ivan IV, though history remembers me by another title, Ivan the Terrible. But was I truly a monster, or simply a ruler born in the wrong time, forged by fire, fear, and betrayal? Let me tell you my story. I was born in 1530 in the grand halls of the Kremlin. From the outside, you might think my childhood was one of privilege and security. But you'd be wrong. My father, Grand Prince Vasily III, died when I was just 3 years old. My mother, Elena Glinskaya, ruled as regent until she suddenly died, poisoned, when I was only 8. After her death, my boyhood home became a nest of vipers. The noble families, boyars, scrambled for power. They controlled the court. They controlled me. To them, I was just a pawn. I remember the hunger, the beatings, the humiliation. Sometimes they would dress me in fine clothes, parade me like a little prince, then starve me or laugh as I begged for scraps. Imagine growing up knowing that every smile around you could hide a dagger. That was my childhood. Is it any wonder that my heart hardened? When I was 16, I decided to change everything. No more being a puppet, no more being mocked by scheming nobles. On January 16, 1547, I was crowned Tsar of all Russia, the first to bear that title. The crown wasn't just a symbol of power. It was my way of telling everyone I was not merely another prince. I was divinely chosen. I was Caesar. At first, I tried to rule with wisdom. I married Anastasia Romanovna, a woman who brought me comfort and peace. With her by my side, I created reforms, modernized the military, revised the law code, and expanded my realm. I even called a council, gathering wise men to help guide me. For a time, I was seen not as terrible, but as a strong and just ruler. But peace never lasts, does it? The turning point came with fire and death. In 1553, I fell gravely ill. As I lay in bed, my body shaking with fever, I asked the boyars to swear loyalty to my infant son, Dmitri. They refused. They would not serve a child. Their hesitation, their betrayal, burned me more than the fever itself. I survived, but I never forgot. Then, in 1560, Anastasia, my beloved wife, died. Some whispered it was illness, but I knew better. Poison. The boyars had taken her from me. She was the one person who calmed my rage, who held back the storm inside me. With her gone, there was nothing left to hold me back. I changed that day. If the nobles wanted a monster, I would give them one. I created something Russia had never seen before, the Oprichnina. Imagine an army of men dressed in black, riding black horses, carrying severed dog heads and brooms as symbols. Dogs' head to sniff out treachery, brooms to sweep away my enemies. These were my oprichniki, my secret police. They answered to me alone. Their job was simple: terror. They stormed through towns, seized land from nobles, tortured, executed, spread fear like a plague. In the name of loyalty, I gave them power beyond law. If they suspected you, you were finished. Heads rolled, families vanished, entire cities trembled at the sight of them. The boyars had mocked me when I was a child. Now I made them kneel in blood and ash. Do you want to know how far my wrath went? Then let me take you to the city of Novgorod. In 1570, I became convinced the city was plotting treason, conspiring with foreign enemies to betray me. Whether it was true or not no longer mattered. I unleashed the oprichniki. They descended on Novgorod like a storm of death. The streets ran red. Thousands were tortured, drowned, impaled, burned alive. For weeks the cries of the dying echoed through the city. Some historians argue that tens of thousands perished. All I know is that when it was over, Novgorod was broken, its spirit crushed forever. To the people, I was no longer just Tsar. I was terror itself. And yet, I was not always the monster history paints. I built St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow, a jewel of color and flame that still dazzles the eyes today. I strengthened the state, expanded Russia's borders into Siberia, laying the foundations of an empire. But inside me, the storm only grew. The paranoia, the fury, the endless suspicion, it consumed me. I lashed out at enemies both real and imagined. No one was safe, not even my own family. The older I grew, the heavier my crown became. I had ruled for decades, fought wars, crushed rebellions, expanded Russia's borders beyond anything my ancestors could dream of. And yet, what did I see when I looked around me? Enemies everywhere. I saw them in the boyars who once poisoned my mother. I saw them in the clergy who whispered against me. I saw them even in my own household. Every betrayal I suffered as a child still echoed in my mind. Every glance, every murmur, every hesitant bow, it all looked like treachery. And my anger had no limit. It happened in 1581. My son and heir, also named Ivan, was strong, intelligent, and bold, the kind of prince Russia needed. But he was not me, and perhaps that was the problem. One day I discovered my daughter-in-law, his wife, dressed in a way I thought improper for the court. I struck her, furious at what I saw as dishonor. My son rushed in, defending her, shouting at me, defying me. The storm inside me broke loose. In that instant I swung my staff. The blow landed on his temple. He fell to the ground, blood pouring from his head. I remember his cry, shocked, pained, betrayed. He looked at me with eyes I can never forget, eyes that asked, "Father, why?" I dropped to my knees, cradling him, screaming for the doctors. But it was too late. My son, my heir, my flesh and blood lay dying in my arms, and I, Tsar of all Russia, had killed him. The court was silent after that. My enemies no longer needed to conspire. They had won, without lifting a sword, for I had destroyed myself. My son had been the future of Russia, strong, capable, respected, and now he was gone. My other surviving heir, Fyodor, was weak, simple-minded, unfit to rule. I knew the dynasty I built with blood and iron was crumbling from within. I had spilled rivers of blood in my life, but this was the wound that would never close. From that day I was haunted. I saw his face in my dreams. I heard his voice in the silence of the Kremlin. No victory could erase what I had done. After the death of my son, I was a broken man. My rage still burned, but now it was mixed with guilt, despair, and exhaustion. I tried to cling to power, but the oprichniki, my black riders, my instruments of terror, had already spiraled into corruption and chaos. They were disbanded, their power stripped, but the scars they left on Russia could never be erased. I threw myself into war with Poland, hoping conquest would quiet the voices in my head. But instead of triumph, I found defeat. The Livonian War dragged on for years, draining my treasury, bleeding my armies dry. My dream of reaching the Baltic Sea crumbled into humiliation. The Tsar, who once made Russia tremble, was now watching it weaken under his own hand. By the 1580s, my health was failing. I had headaches, seizures, fainting spells. Some whispered it was poison, others said it was divine punishment. I didn't care anymore. My body was as broken as my spirit. I surrounded myself with astrologers, priests, and alchemists, desperate for answers. I sought signs in the stars, in relics, in omens. But the only sign I truly saw was death approaching. On March 18, 1584, I sat down to play a game of chess. I never finished. My body collapsed, my heart stopped, and just like that, the reign of Ivan the Terrible was over. What did I leave behind? I had expanded Russia's borders, turning a loose collection of principalities into a centralized state. I had strengthened the monarchy, built churches, codified laws. My fingerprints were on the very foundations of the Russian Empire. And yet, I also left scars. Entire cities massacred, families destroyed, a culture of fear that seeped into the bones of my people. Even my own dynasty collapsed soon after my death. With my son gone and my weak heir on the throne, Russia plunged into chaos, the time of troubles. Some call me a reformer, others call me a tyrant. But no one forgets my name. For centuries, people have debated whether I was truly terrible, or whether I was a ruler born too early, too harsh for my time, but necessary to forge a mighty empire. Some Russians still see me as a protector, a Tsar who crushed the arrogant nobles and strengthened the state. Others see only the monster, the tyrant who drowned his people in blood. But tell me, which do you believe? Was I Ivan the Builder or Ivan the Destroyer?